Good morning, Facebook, and welcome to another edition of the 10,000 Club. Josh Nawrot is our special guest from Northern Mortgage, and he is going to find out all about what it means to be part of the 10,000 Club today. So Kim Anderson and Josh are here with me. Josh, I'll just give his little bio real quick. He is the Vice President and Branch Manager of Northern Mortgage. I met him through relationships with other agents at 5-Star Real Estate. And that's the cool thing about relationships, right? We have them with mortgage people, we have them with clients, title people, we have them all over, but through relationships, I met Josh. He is the branch manager and the vice president, as I said, of Northern Mortgage. They are licensed in 21 states in the United States, and they have 18 branches. So Josh, welcome to the 10,000 Club.
Awesome. Tracy, Kim, thank you so much for having me. We love 5-Star agents. We love the business and the brand that you're building, and honestly think the world of y'all.
Well, awesome. Well, we're so glad to have you here. Kim is, like many right now, has that spring cold. So we'll keep her talking to a minimum today. But Kim, thank you for joining us in spite of the fact that you're not feeling top notch today.
Yes, it's good to be here, and I'm going to be a good listener today. And if I can't, I'll mute myself.
Excellent, excellent. Well, great. Well, great. Like I said, we're in a relationship business. And because we are, that's how we've come to know and love Josh. And many of our agents know him. And if you don't, you should get to know him. He's a great guy and a great connector. I met him a number of years ago and said, Josh, you're like the Oprah of mortgages. And he said, you're like the Oprah of real estate. And he literally made a sign for me. It's still on my desk and it says Tracy Johnson, Oprah of real estate. But I really shouldn't have called him the Oprah of real estate. I should have said he's like the Michael Jordan or the Magic Johnson, So anyways, I apologize for that. This many years later.
You guys are way too kind. You're really making me feel very good.
Okay, excellent. Well, let's get to it.
I'm going to record this and play it back time and time again.
That's good. That's good. Well, let's get into it today. We're all talking about the market. We're listening to the news, and we're hearing this word called, go ahead, Kim, say it. What's the word we're hearing? Recession.
Recession.
Yes. So we're hearing that. What's that?
I said it quietly.
Yeah. So we're hearing the word recession. We're talking about interest rates. We're talking about market shifts. And so that's where we thought today would be a great day to have sort of a market discussion with you today, Josh. And just wondering what your thoughts are and what you're hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, thank you so much for having me on. So in the last few weeks, I have had the chance to roundtable with some of the top mortgage owners across the country going, what's going on, what is going to happen, and how do we prepare for this? And I'm just going to come out saying right now that we are headed into a storm. And as business owners and as entrepreneurs, what I love about our industry is we always figure out a way to get through the storm. 2020 was a storm when real estate was shut down. And we as entrepreneurs had to figure out, how do we do this? How do we show? What can we do? And then, we continued on. This is a little bit of a different storm that we're heading into. Now, it's not a Category 5 hurricane. So we don't need to panic and scream and shout and post social media and scare the pants off our clients, but it is important that we prepare. So one of the feedbacks and one of the things that they were talking about is we are about 6 months into a 2-year storm. And in real estate, we have seen record appreciation, which the Fed is calling inflation. Real estate, we call it appreciation. The Fed calls it inflation. And ultimately, the Fed has come out and said, we want to cool the inflation and appreciation of real estate. And we're going to do that by driving interest rates up. So I've been in this business 18 years. I saw the early 2000s. We worked through the crash. The last 12 years have been phenomenal. The next 2 are really going to cause us to sharpen our sales skills, get better at what we're doing, and get better at communicating and kind of coaching our clients on what is going on.
Well, good. I think what you're talking about, though, when I think about you're talking about a storm, and I'm picturing being in a boat on a storm, and the critical pieces of what goes into your mind of sustainability and, how are you going to get from A to D? How are you going to, navigate that rudder into the water to get to where you need to be? So I think that's really what we're talking about.
Yes, absolutely. So even if we back up 2 years, 2020, what happened? Market panicked, worldwide global pandemic. And what happened at that time is interest rates, if you remember early on, jumped from kind of the stable 3s and 4s all the way up to 6% for a very short minute. The Fed jumped in, intervened, and at that point started purchasing mortgage-backed securities to keep interest rates low. So what we've been doing the last 2 years in real estate, we're calling those bonus years. Those are not normal years in the business. A great analogy or example is literally in the mortgage and real estate, we can pick apples up off the ground and eat it and feast and be fed really, really well. Our clients could too. Record appreciation, record low rates. People were buying big houses. Now, fast forward a couple years, the Fed has ultimately said we printed too much money. We need to clear the balance sheet. We had too many trillions of dollars of stimulus, that's caused all the inflation. Now we need to put a lid on that and pull back from that. And, that's what's going on right now, where the Fed basically said, we're going to stop buying mortgage-backed securities, which were keeping rates artificially low. Nobody else was buying mortgage-backed securities. And now the bond market is adjusting to the new highs. So everybody's like, well, what's going to happen across the next year and a half? Here's what we're talking about. Rates are going to continue to pull higher for the next year and a half. It's going to stall out the economy. The R word is already flashing, recession. And then at that point, they're going to have to pull rates back down. So we have to kind of strap in for this storm over the next 2 years, advise clients. Now, Michigan and many other states are still going to have appreciation. They're going to try to put a lid on it, but it's going to be kind of hard to contain with so much cash, so many housing needs that are out there. I mean, we're still 6 million new homes start behind. So that's kind of what we're sharing with our clients. We're not telling them to panic on rates. Here's your payment. Does that fit your budget? If it does, let's keep moving forward. You're going to have a refinance opportunity in about 2 years, just like many people did, the last 2 years. So let's not get hung up on, well, I'm going from 2.9 to 5.2. No big deal. Let's focus on the payment. Yes, it's higher, on average about $400, $500, $600. You're going to have a refinance opportunity, but let's put a lid on the real estate sales prices, because those are going to continue to grow. Maybe not as high or fast or furious, but those will continue to grow.
Yeah, you mentioned something that caught my ear, and that was housing starts. And was it 6 million, you said?
Yes.
What would be a normal market for housing starts? And maybe explain that, because a lot of our agents that are in this group, we call them NTIs. They're our new to industry agents. So this is really a teaching platform for them to educate them. So yeah.
So housing starts, basically every single year, there has to be a certain number of housing starts to keep up with the population and demand. So what we're seeing now in 2000, after the crash, 8, 9, 10, like there was very few housing starts. Like that was the lowest of the low. That was a significant crash in our market. Real estate, all of that just flat stalled out. Developers lost it, builders lost it. It was a very, very spooky time. So during that time, a lot of builders stopped building because there was so much inventory, so many houses for sale. And anytime you stop building for 3 years, people don't stop having babies, getting older, getting jobs, graduating college. So we're dealing with the supply and demand imbalance right now, where there's not enough houses and the builders can't build them fast enough or cheap enough to catch up. And that's going to be a big issue for some time coming. That's going to be our saving grace in this whole, if we move into a recession.
Good, because it's been many years since we've caught up with those numbers, and we're still so far behind, which just has been adding to the problems that we have in these multiple offer situations.
Yeah. And one thing that we're sharing too, because, I get these same calls as a lot of our real estate partners do, is, oh, I'm going to wait for the crash, and then I'm going to buy this $250,000 house for $80,000. That's not going to happen. In the last 7 recessions, real estate prices went down how many times?
In the last, yeah, one, okay.
once. And that's what a lot of people relate to, because a lot of us have lived through it, worked through it, been through it, or we're growing up, through that. So they're like, oh my gosh, recession equals crash, recession equals drop in real estate sales prices. Listen, the reason why real estate prices crashed was because of bad mortgage lending.
Right. And now we have rules in place to help protect so that these things don't happen. Yes, people will still default on their mortgages. Yes, there will still be foreclosures, but they will never be to the degree that we had in 05, 6, 7, 8, and on, because basically we just realized that owning a home is a right. It's not, it is not a, it's a right, not a, what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's the American dream, right? You have to work for it to earn it. It's not something that every person has the ability to own. And we forgot that. And that's why we had that recession. So.
Yeah, and during that time too, I think it's important to know, like in the early 2000s, there was a lot of loosening of lending laws because they wanted to include as many people into the American dream as possible,
Right.
which I love. Equal housing, housing for all. Like I am a big proponent of that. Home ownership builds generational wealth, like first time buyers, move up buyers, like that stuff is just gets me excited.
Oh yeah.
That funnel expanded big, in the early 2000s, and a lot of those loan products designed for those people were abused. I mean, there was people getting 2 and 3 homes because they were appreciating, no money down, 2-year fixed arms, and when all of that came to be, people are like, I got no skin in this game. I got no skin in this house. I'm not rolling big down payments or putting my life savings in. Here's the keys, bank, and away they went.
Yeah.
So we're in a much different situation now where everybody that's buying their house is putting their hard-earned blood, sweat, and tears of savings into their house. And if they're selling a house, they're rolling all the equity. They're taking very little equity back. And if they are, they're paying off debt so that they can afford that bigger house. People will fight for their equity. We're not going to see a drop or a crash in sales prices. Now, one stat that came out yesterday, very interesting. Fannie Mae said next year, real estate home appreciation might only be 3% nationwide. That was very interesting. The last probably 5-6 years, it's been double-digit appreciation. They're saying this year about 8% appreciation, next year 3%, and I think they're planning on the interest rates cooling off. And guys, gals, this could be a good thing too. This could help some of our buyers buy a 350 house that's listed at 350 versus list at 350, buy for 420. I mean, we're seeing all kinds of craziness right now.
Yeah. Well, when I think about it, when I bought my first home in 1980, I paid 12% interest. So I think, and it was a land contract. And so I think today, though, the rates are still great. As you said, we're just not getting the bonus anymore, right? It's still 5.25, still a really good interest rate. And so I think it's our job as agents to keep that in perspective, as well as when we're counseling and helping our buyers, that it's still a great rate. I mean, it's still a really good interest rate. It's just not 3% anymore.
Right. And as humans, there's always a 90-day implementation period where basically if there's a big change, whether, it could be election, it could be a disaster, it could be a pandemic, there's always this 90-day period where like everybody kind of looks around and then adapts to, the new normal. So that's kind of what we're seeing here. We initially thought that like people were going to lose their minds because the media has blitzed interest rates, record low rates drop again, twos, for the last 2 years, that we literally thought that people would have I thought we would have seen a bigger slowdown now. And it's very interesting talking to even some of our first time buyers, and they're saying the exact same thing. Like my parents' first interest rate was 18 or 12 or 6 or whatever that number is. So we've adapted. And I think a big tactic for our salespeople out there, how you react is how your clients react. I was super disappointed in a real estate agent earlier this week on an accepted offer, or trying to get an accepted offer. And, she knew where they had to bid. The client was comfortable with the payment, but the real estate agent scared the client. client was comfortable with the payment. They knew what they had to do to win. They didn't do it. The client lost their dream house. Now, I totally understand that there's a balance of fiduciary responsibility, but also if the client wants it and they're comfortable with going to it, we need to be like ducks. We need to be paddling like crazy under the water, but we need to be cool, calm, and collected above. How we react is how our clients react. If it's no big deal, they're not going to make a big deal of this. So, oh my gosh, I've never seen or written a contract that high before. Listen, a lot of listing agents are purposely listing a fuzz low to get all that attention. So bidding above is not a big uncommon thing. And I just think being educated, having a great lender in your back pocket that covers payment, covers cash to close. If the client's cool with that, let's go. But the client was super, super disappointed that they lost the dream house. And a lot of that just came down to just making sure that we're being cool, calm, and collected and not making a big deal out of things.
Yeah. Well, and that's really why we're here today, is really just to be good educators. I always say I'm just an advice giver, and I wait on the client's direction. So at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for, is just to be really good advice givers and to listen. So what is the market telling you guys? What is it, as you meet with your loan officers and you have these water cooler discussions, where are you guys at with pre-approval letters? Are you seeing any shift in this area? Has there been any change in the last, really pretty much the last 30 days?
Yeah, so on our end, we're actually seeing lead counts increase, which we were a little bit surprised on. I think the rise in rates and all of that have kind of caused people to jump off the fence and be like, hey, I got to get on this before things go higher. I'll worry about the rate, not worry about the rate now. I'll refinance it later. But if this house is worth a lot more 6 months from now or a year from now, like, let's put a lid on that. I'll address the rate later. Let's go. Now, I do think that there will be a lot of people that refinanced or purchased in the last couple of years. Guys, gals, we pulled a lot of people forward in the last couple of years. A lot of people have moved. We're going to see a thinner market, less listings. So we need to be, more creative in helping our clients that want to move. But right now we're seeing a surge. But if rates continue to increase into the 6s, into the 7s, that could happen. I think that's when we'll start to see real estate cooling off a little bit there. So it's very important that, listen, if you're making good commissions, if you got a big pipeline of business, it's so important to sock that money away right now. Like in the mortgage industry and real estate industry, like I was at some of these conferences and some of these people 2 years in the business were buying Ferraris. That's not very smart. I'm like, y'all, we're in a bonus year. This is not the new norm. This is not the time to reset your lifestyle up here. I've seen this. I've seen this, and it's not pretty. So socking money away, saving for a rainy day, preparing for the storm that we're going into, being cool, calm, and collected in front of your clients is going to help you through this. There will be loan officers that don't make it, title that doesn't make it, and realtors that don't make it through the storm. I hate to say that, but it is so true. But knowing that going into it, I think that's important.
Yeah, that's really good. I don't think anybody's talking about that, to be honest. I think people are nervous, right? They're thinking, okay, what is it going to look like a year from now? But really, we should be hunkering down, and you should be considering the lifestyle that you're living right now, knowing that you need to prepare for the storm. Again, back in the boat, steering that rudder, not just your clients, but your own life as you navigate your way through this, because it is truly uncharted waters. Many agents that are in the business today, and Josh, you could probably point to loan officers as well, have never seen what's coming. Like I can tell you, I have not personally. Kim has been in longer than I have. So yeah, I'm going to tell you, there's going to be a lot of surprised people.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we've had an incredible run, 12 years. That's one of the longest bull runs of the market and of real estate that we've had. Now, like I said, a recession does not mean crash. A recession does not mean a drop in value. A recession just means a slowdown.
Okay.
So that is really important to reframe, because everybody, when they think of recession, they think of what we just saw 10, 12 years ago. So we need to be good educators of the R word, because the media like scare tactics. They like, the headlines, recession coming. They like the headlines. Headlines drive users, eyeballs, things like that. So we just need to be good educators. Hey, a recession is a slowdown. They're trying to put a lid on inflation. We printed too much money in the last couple of years to, make sure that, the pandemic didn't completely upend business. And the next couple of years will be, a little bit rocky, but we'll get through those. There's great opportunities. There were unbelievable businesses that were founded and built during the last recession. But we need to, as an industry, sharpen our sales skills, get better, and continue to make sure we're calling and connecting with our clients. I sent a video this week that I reeled on for 4 days. I almost was not going to send it, and I did. And afterwards,
Tell me the content. What was the content?
The content was, we are spending way too much time on social media and not enough time on calls and connections.
Oh,
I know some of y'all watching on social media right now, but it's so true. I see everybody trying to go TikTok famous and reels and all this stuff, when really all that is billboard advertising. People are scrolling through. Like, I drove all around town this morning, appointments, coffees, connections, billboards everywhere. I remember none of them. So yes, social media has a part in your business, but it needs to be a very small part of your business. The telephone, picking up. When is the last time you called a closed client? Well, what do I say? Hey, it's been a year. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. How's your house? Did you do anything to it? And then I also said in the video, can I count on you for 2 client connections this year?
Ask for the business.
Do you have any plans to move this year? Well, no, Tracy, you just sold me the house last year. I'm super happy. That's not always the case. Yeah. I was talking to a top 5-star agent, and she has clients that she sold a house to 6 months ago. They hate their neighbors. They are moving. So
this happens.
If you don't stay in touch and you don't connect, hey, Tracy, how's your house? How's everything going? I was thinking about you. I was running from one appointment to another. You popped in my mind. I wanted to connect with you. Guys, people are flattered. Nobody thinks of people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, oh, things are going great. Awesome. Tracy, do you have any plans to move this year? Do you know anybody that does?
Exactly. I didn't know if you were, that was a question and answer.
Tracy, do you have any plans to move this year?
I don't, Josh. I'm not thinking of moving. I love my house.
Great. Do you know anybody that does?
You know what? I can't think of anybody right now, but now that you've mentioned it, if I do, I'm going to tell them to call you because of my experience.
I love it. Tracy, can I count on you for 2 over the next year?
Absolutely.
Little simple tactics like that. Doesn't have to be salesy, doesn't have to be cheesy, but if you're not asking for the business, you're not going to get the business. And shooting TikToks and all this weird stuff that people are doing, stop. There is a small place for it, and I'm going to get a lot of heat for that. My inbox is probably filling up with hate mail right now, and I am sorry, but this needs to be said. One of the top CEOs of one of the biggest mortgage companies was at a big real estate event in Vegas. This is a couple weeks ago, and he heard speaker after speaker after speaker talking about all these things and video and social media and TikTok and all this. And he was one of the final keynote speakers, and he was like, guys, I'm almost embarrassed. Like, all the stuff, all the content that we've talked about is really good, but not one speaker over the last 3 days has talked about the most important thing. And he's like, at this point, the room's half empty. Everybody's at the bar. So he's like, for the remaining few of you that are here that stuck it out, everybody else is out there making TikToks. It comes down to make 20 sales calls a day. Make 10 sales calls a day. That's it. Hey, I was thinking about you. Call your past clients, call your old leads, call your friends, call influencers. What is an influencer? People that can give you business. Is your neighbor an attorney? Is your neighbor a doctor? Is your neighbor a dentist? Dental hygienists are some of the greatest connectors in the business. All they do is talk to people all day long, and they have to. People can't respond.
Kim, didn't you just recently get a deal?
Oh, I've had 3 in the last year from my hygienist. Yeah, I just went last night on a listing appointment from her.
Yeah,
and
I think.
Yeah, that you're right. You can't talk back. They just talk, and they think we're good patients. We just really good listeners, right? Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't want to scare, I don't want to get anybody off track here, but I think it's really important that as sales professionals, as real estate as advisors, that we just do some daily things to move our business forward. Guys, gals, we are in a squirrel business. We're in a business where you get a call, you get a text, you had your day planned, you're over here. That's fine, but take 30 minutes and do a couple of core things in your business to move it forward. Very
Right.
few people. Now we have a lot of past client follow-up that we do, and it's very shocking when a lot of these past clients are, and I know who they work with, but I'm asking, hey, who was your realtor on the last transaction? Now I know, but I want to see if they know. People don't remember. You can dazzle your clients with the greatest experience, the best communication, the most text worthy, but if you don't stay in touch, they forget about you. And it's so important that we are calling, connecting. There's no algorithms with that. Sometimes people are seeing your stuff, sometimes they're not. But calling and connecting are going to be the best ways that we move the business forward in a time. Last couple of years, our phone rang. We made money. We wrote business. That's not going to be the case moving forward. We've got to get intentional and in the trenches to maneuver through this storm.
Well, good. I think that that's a nice place to segue to this segment, because basically what you're saying is your boat is in the water. How are you going to be in control of the rudder? Are you steering the ship? Who are you connecting with? Who are you calling? Who are you being intentional with that is in your sphere? And no matter, again, I think you said it best, that social media has a place in your business because this is a business, but it can't be your business. It can't be the way you connect. It needs to be a piece of it, a small piece of it, because it's a scroll, right? But by being intentional, by calling, by making this a part of what you do. And I think anyone that's listening should hear what Josh just said about the system of follow-up that they have, that they do have a system, and they're asking the question about the realtor, because what he's saying is they don't know. So take the cue, stay in connection with your clients, call, connect, interact, and be grateful for the business you had with them, and then find out who they know. So
Very good.
Well,
Good information.
well, Josh, any final thoughts?
No, I think that's it. I mean, recession is not a crash. Don't make a big deal about interest rates. Something important too that, I mean, nobody's policing this, but be careful. If you're not a licensed loan officer, you cannot quote rates. So I see different videos and things on social media out there. You need to be very, very careful of that. That's non-licensed activity that could get you popped. And social media, that stuff stays out there. So just be careful of that. Like my non-licensed staff that are employed by Northern Mortgage cannot even talk rates. So that's something else to just be careful of as you're educating out there. And, keep us in mind for your buyers. We are winning a ton of contracts, whether it's equity forward for the move up buyers, or whether it's, a first-time buyer that's gone to their bank or gone to their credit union first, nothing against it. But we have to talk about what the listing agents are looking at. They like the fast, local, private, with good appraiser lenders, and that's who they're going to march forward with. So it's okay to direct the lending traffic. You're not steering that client. 5-Star does not have a mortgage company, so you're not going to fall in that anti-steering. So just, connect with us and we'll take great care of y'all.
Well, great.
Yes.
Good. Well, thanks for sticking it out with us today too, Kim.
I learned a lot. I think every agent out there needs to take 25 minutes and watch this. I find it very helpful for me personally. We're constantly talking to our clients, to the agents, and I definitely feel like we need to get this out there because it was very, very helpful, very specific, and we appreciate you coming on today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Josh, thank you so much. All right, everybody, it's a wrap today. Thanks for joining us today, Josh and Kim. Everyone have a great day.
Have a good day. See ya.
See ya.